HTV News.
Meanwhile, the presidency has refused to comment to the former President Olusegun's letter. Senior Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said, quote, "We won't comment now," end of quote. Mr. Shehu categorized the letter as criticism of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, which focused on many societal and political issues in the country. But the People's Democratic Party has described the counsel by former President Olusegun Obasanjo that President Muhammadu Buhari should not seek a re-election in 2019 as courageous, timely and patriotic. A statement signed by its spokesperson, Kola Olobodiyan, added that it vindicates its position on President Buhari and the All Progressives Congress. The party, however, rejected the call by Chief Obasanjo for a third force, saying that such would amount to repeating the same blunder that brought APC and the Buhari presidency into power. To take a closer look at the content of the open letter by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, I am now being joined in the studio by Biodun Sowumi, a public analyst. Many thanks for joining us on the news tonight.
It's my pleasure.
Let me start by asking you, what do you think went wrong between these two generals beyond the content of the letter?
What seems to be very clear is the way the country seems to be going. We've been drifting economically, we've been drifting in terms of security, we've been drifting in terms of development, and many Nigerians are no longer sure of what will become of the country. We have seen crises of IPOB, when people openly call for secession. We've also seen, the cattle herders, Fulani cattle herders crisis, going on. And for Obasanjo, that would be too much. He made it very clear he didn't expect much in terms of economic knowledge and development from Buhari, but he expected him to appoint the right people into post. That is neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is the seeming poverty and the fact that we were in depression for some time. The economy is still depressed, even though government says we've been out of recession, and unemployment is rising by the day. So, particularly with National Bureau of Statistics, claiming that we lost 4 million jobs, someone like Obasanjo will not keep quiet. The final straw for him, I think, in my view, it's the incident, the Fulani herdsmen menace in Benue, and what appears to be government condoning it. They have an ambivalent, Obasanjo himself made it clear, his judgment on corruption, anti-corruption battle, he has this ambivalent viewpoint on it, that is on one part commending the president for embarking on it, on the other part, highlighting the issue of minor, and wondering how many of such cover-up cases of corruption of people who are close to government, exist. But on the other hand, the major issue for him, it's the inability of the president, according to him, to understand the internal dynamics within the country and the consequences of taking, condoning, the Fulani herdsmen attack in Benue. I think that should be the final straw for Obasanjo.
Reviewing the open letter and recalling the same letter to President Goodluck Jonathan then, what do you think is the import of this open letter to the 2019 presidential election?
I'm surprised former President Obasanjo did not get his PhD in letter writing. It's quite very effective. He has a way of sending signal. I'm not surprised the presidency needs to reflect over it before replying, because again, it could trigger another letter from Obasanjo. That's not what they want. But the interesting part is when you look at his calling on Buhari not to contest election, he's taking account of the state of things in Southwest today, taking account of the state of things in Southeast, in South-South, and now Middle Belt. He's beginning to work it out that, look, Buhari will be a hard sell, in the Middle Belt, South-South, Southeast, and Southwest, following the high unemployment level and the huge loss of human lives. And what appeared, to be the president condoning, I'm not saying he's doing that, but the president condoning the herdsmen attack through his not reacting the way people expected him to react.
Do you foresee the president heeding this advice We recall that the other open letter, President Goodluck Jonathan went ahead, discarding the letter. Do you think that President Muhammadu Buhari will heed the advice of former President Olusegun Obasanjo?
I'm not sure the president will heed the advice because of the president's boys. The boys surrounding the president, those who today are wielding power behind the scene, will not necessarily want to lose that advantage. And they are the people closer or closest to the president. They are the ones deciding issues. Don't forget, even the wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, cried out, to say that, look, my husband has been hijacked, by some people. So we are not likely going to see the president reacting. We are likely going to see, most likely, the president just saying, I've taken note of what he has said, and then wanting to move on. What we are likely going to see is Buhari wanting to form new alliance, with individuals in different parts of the country. Talking
about alliance very quickly because of our time, what's your take on no APC, no PDP?
Yes, Obasanjo is actually calling for a third force. Not a third force as people think, the one in existence currently. He's calling for a genuine third force that will embrace all nationalities, both the North, the Middle Belt, the Southwest, Southeast, and South-South. And that, I think, is in the offing.
Many thanks for your thoughts on this open letter by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Mr. Biodun Sowumi, a public commentator. And to other stories now, a few hours after former President Obasanjo's letter to the President Muhammadu Buhari was made public, the President today met with the APC national leader Bola Tinubu and former national chairman of the party, BC Akande, behind closed door. They met at the State House in Abuja, but the details of the meeting is not yet known. And the rest of the news continues in just a moment. Please join us again.
During an emergency, people tend to run away from the scene of danger. My job requires that I do the exact opposite. There was once a sweet girl who was in a car accident. The ordeal had taken a toll on me, but I had no time for pain. A couple of weeks later, I was about to head home when I had an unexpected visitor. She had insisted to her mother that she would bring a piece of cake for the man who helped save her life. The world needs people who save lives.